Okay, here's Wendy looking for Jack because she wants to leave the hotel. So she wants to find Jack. Her taking the bat means she already thinks there's going to be a problem with convincing Jack to leave the hotel. Um, Alrighty. Notice one thing interesting is the bear rug is gone. There's no more bear rug. Everything's shut down. I guess there's not gonna. There's it's not well lit. All the lamps are gone except for the lamps on the top. But it's a very dark. It's almost like the hotel is closed, or the Apollo 11 project is over. You know. Um, and so here comes Wendy with a bat. Wendy discovers what Jack has been spending all his time writing, and here is what Jack. This is not in the book. This is Stanley Kubrick, and the fact that this sequence goes on for 5, 10 minutes or whatever. Uh, Kubrick has spent quite a bit of time on this. He's again telling you this is important. You know, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. There's a lot of interpretations of this statement. Everyone points to AA11, which is Apollo 11 work, and no play makes Jack Nicholson, Stanley Kubrick, Danny, Wendy, dull boy. So the fact that he was working on um, the Apollo 11, I don't know, ruined his life or something like that. I have a more interesting interpretation of this, and that is that I think is much more accurate. I don't know. You'll have to leave the comments, but my interpretation of this sentence is that if Apollo, if you had to make Apollo work, which you couldn't. There was no way for Apollo 11 for any spacecraft to go over there, and NASA says them themselves because they're still. You can watch videos of NASA people. You just type in Van Allen belts, and multiple NASA people within this year have said we've got to design ships that can pass through the Van Allen belts. They're all over the YouTube. So just type in Van Allen belts and problems and whatever, and look at the most recent ones, and don't look at the wackos or the nuts, doing the Shining stuff, or the wackos and nuts doing the moon, the fake moon landings. Look at actual NASA. Type in, you want to see what NASA says about it, and NASA says we can't pass through the Van Allen belts, and all physicists will tell you that too, with the spacecrafts that we've designed so far. So my interpretation of this sentence is that there was no way for Apollo 11 to work. So if we didn't make it a play, if we didn't fake it, then not Jack Nicholson, not Stanley Kubrick would be a dull boy, but JFK would be a dull boy. And dull boy is not the context that people know nowadays. In the way Kubrick, he was an older gentleman, much older than me, but dull doesn't. Nowadays it means you're boring to be dull. But in the old days, dull meant you were stupid. You know what I mean? You were an idiot. People would say, "Oh, he's a dull boy." They wouldn't say, "Oh, he isn't a party guy." They would just say, "He's an idiot." So my interpretation of this sentence is that if we don't fake the moon, the Apollo 11 things, and we actually try to make it work, we won't be able to make it work. And John F. Kennedy, who stated we were going to go to the moon before the end of the decade, would have seemed like an idiot. And that is my interpretation of this sentence, and that is one of the unique things that I haven't seen anybody say on the internet. Although, like I said, I'm sure there's a million other things, and maybe somebody else may have found out this interpretation. But that is my interpretation. That's at least original. Again, I give 90% of the stuff that I've shown you, I've stolen from other people, and again, just to make, I just want to make some sort of inclusive thing, but I do give homage to all those people as well, of course, as Stanley Kubrick. There is a guy who's taken the letters here and mixed them around, and he made a pretty cool sentence out of this. And I'm sorry, I'll try to find the sentence. I have it somewhere, and I'll put it in the comments. But the sentence goes something like the Apollo. It actually uses Apollo APOL, the Apollo landings, and something like sadly a fake by Uncle UNC Sam. I think SAM, So something about if you want to work out the letters, but I'll find it and I'll put it in the things. But it's a really amazing, I don't know what you call it, a palindrome, whatever, something where you mix up the words and make up a new sentence out of by mixing up the words. But it's something like Apollo landing, sadly, a joke by UNC. Sam or something like that, or S. So I'll find that for you. But anyways, here let's watch Wendy look at the insanity of what's going on. Interesting enough that Kubrick himself is dyslexing some of the letters, almost giving you a hint that maybe that guy is right who made the new word. That Kubrick is saying you should you should change the letters around a little bit. You might find another sentence in there. Anyways, here it is. I love this shot. No one has pointed out, because just like Halloran in the kitchen when he was talking to Danny, there was a backdrop with the red, white, and blue. Here's the red, white, and blue here. You know what I mean? Again, representing, I think, the American people, wanting to see this, because why paint the ceiling? I mean, I know it looks pretty or whatever, but on top of it, people are like, people like to paint the ceiling blue and red, and do they like to put A's? I mean, give me a break. Those are A's, you know what I mean? Apollo 11. And if you want to see the 11, Apollo A, and here's your 11s right here, I mean, what is up with these banisters, Apollo 11, So Kubrick is making connections all over the place. And why make this shot? The previous shot with her was this shot, if you look at it, which is just the 11s, if you want to say that. But the later shot is like, why put that shot? It's of course to imply American Apollo 11, and perhaps the people would like to know what's written on that paper. All right, here's a bunch of them, and I guess you can go through, and he shows quite a bit of these papers. So I don't know if there's something to these designs, upside down A or something. Somebody else will have to analyze the designs. I know I seem like a wacko with all the analysis that I've done, but there's limits to what I like to investigate. So I'd love somebody to go through every single one of the, because I mean Kubrick shows, and I think somebody's counted up how many pages he shows, something like exactly 21 or something. I don't know. Again, another thing. Here's another shot of the colorized thing, and here comes Jack to interrupt Wendy. Interesting thing is, I told you the bear rug was missing, and now I believe it's back. We'll see, hopefully, in the next shot if it is. But I think Kubrick put the bear rug back, which would be very interesting if he did that. So let's see that. Okay, what are you doing down here? Your job is to take care of the boilers and be the director. I'm the writer. Don't look at my writing. He looks at his writing. We should discuss Danny, blood. What should we do with him? Take him to the doctor. His health might be at stake. Basically, schizophrenically, part of Stanley Kubrick is concerned about that this has destroyed his basically his childhood innocence about America. Here he is talking about his responsibilities. So it's a really neat sequence here. I don't want to get into it much more. This is, I told you 10 lectures ago when they had the thing to notice that Ullman said that we're closed till May 15th, but here he is stating May 1st. I don't know if there's something to that to that date. But if you will look back at my lecture or the movie, Ullman told him from October 30th to May 15th, and I asked you to try to remember that May 15th, but I'm sure you probably have forgotten that by then. But this is where it occurs, the tie-in to that. Anyways, a letter of agreement. They go up the thing. Apparently, just as a trivia thing, nothing to do with moon landings or whatever. But this scene, somebody has said, holds the world record for the most shots. I think it's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most number of takes that Kubrick did, like, I don't know, 150 takes. I do love this shot right here, just when Jack says one of his most vulgar things. You got the moose just perfectly over his head. This timing, Orson Welles-ian timing that is just synchronicity. Anyways, Kubrick, I don't know if you got lucky with that shot. That's great. It's just these three things, and me putting the subtitles is just a shot that I think I'll make a meme or something out of that. That's just too good. Anyways, Wendy clobbers Jack over the head and then locks him up in the pantry. One thing I do want you to notice is the tang by Jack's head, as usual. Kubrick telling you, if I put something by somebody's head, that's what they're thinking about. There's other people have pointed out stuff about this 39, a lot of 39s here, and that is that launch pad that the Apollo 11 took off on. It was called Launch Pad 39. You can investigate that if you want. So there's some other things. It's just interesting that I don't know if it's an accident or if Kubrick intended it. It's hard to know. The guy's such a genius. You don't know. Here's now the practical person, the provider, going through the hotel and realizing, coming to the practical side of Kubrick is realizing that everything is fake. This is an interesting shot of how, it's ironic that there's a speech by Kennedy where he says cryptically that yes, we've made mistakes in the thing. We've had accidents in our space program, but so have the Russians. He doesn't say specifically Russians. He says so other people haven't. The Russians were the only people exploring space, and he says even though they haven't confessed to them, even though they haven't confessed to the world that they've had accidents and people have died trying to explore space, So there's a sequence here. I believe Kubrick wanted the guy in this is the guy in the tuxedo. It represents America, and the bear represents Russia. And before that, when Wendy came up here, they were caught in a very vile, a lewd act, and it's implying that Russia is in bed with America to basically fleece their people of money and keep their leaders well lined in gold accoutrements. So the rich get richer and the poor stay poor. That was the scene. Sorry, I don't know if that's gonna. Hopefully that's not long enough for YouTube to pull my thing. Anyways, there it goes again. Guy with a cut head. Say it's a great party, isn't it? I don't know. Somebody else will have to interpret this one for me. It's a neat shot, though. I like it. Here's Wendy. I guess finally it's turning into a horror movie that everybody wants. I don't know. Maybe some nice shots. Interesting enough, though, the webs are holding the skeletons down, so we have no fear that these skeletons are going to come after us. Somebody else will have to interpret this. Oh, here you go. Here's a nice thing. 1, 2. Here's your 12. Right here, 2 through 7. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, so that's that. Wendy running through. I think this is the first time we see the red hallway. I don't think we've ever seen the red hallway. I guess it represents Wendy Stanley Kubrick running through hell. And when she runs through hell, what does she see? she sees all the blood coming down. This is where I wanted another interpretation of this blood. Maybe there's multiple interpretations. The first time I said, when Danny saw the blood in the bathroom, that it was that, he would be working with Nazis and they had a lot of blood on their hands with all the Jews and other people in World War II that had been killed. And then now with this, when it shows up late, you wonder, because a lot of the money that was used for the fake moon landing went to a lot of companies that later on made military equipment for Vietnam, and they made off like bandits during that. And now I think that the blood in this picture, this is maybe it's still World War II and the Nazis, but at this point now maybe the blood represents all the blood of the war in Vietnam, as well as other wars that have been caused by what Eisenhower called the military-industrial complex and warned us about it. President Eisenhower. So we'll see. This is the last shot in the movie. The only reason I wanted to show you this is that, first of all, if you want to interpret this, that Kubrick is not dead, his eyes are still open. He is looking at the moon. He's looking up. Why make him look up when I have him closed, And then some guy pointed out, which was ingenious because I would have never seen this, but looks like there's an 11 right above his right eye at Apollo 11. And one of the things that does make you think that it's interesting is because this thing comes down and this comes down, but these two stay here. Let alone, why would snow fall in a line? The snow doesn't fall on a line. Is that sweat? What is that? So you have 11 right there. Maybe you even have an A here, Apollo 11 in the mirror. How's that? I just saw that if you connect these two things, you have A11, Apollo 11. There you go. Ron, you'd think that if this movie is what Kubrick is saying, which is, I'm not saying it, that Kubrick is saying that this is about the fake moon, Apollo 11 moon landing, then your last shot of the movie should be of Stanley, should have Apollo 11 on his face, and this is just bizarre snow formations on a face. You try to recreate that on your face. Sit out in the snow and send me pictures of you guys doing that, and I'll believe that can happen. Okay, let's go into the gold room. Actually, that wasn't the last shot of the movie. I just meant that was the last supposed shot. This is the coda of the movie. I do want you to notice something very interesting about this shot right here, which is triangle or whatever, trapezoid, whatever, trapezoid. You got all these triangles because of the shading. But guess what? Kubrick gives you a signal right there. No trapezoid. And look at the picture above and the picture below. And again, I have not seen anybody on the internet do this. Maybe somebody has done this, but nobody has done this. What I have seen on the internet is somebody saying, hey, look, 1, 2, 1 shadow and 2 candles. So he got a 12 in right there, which is cool because the other shadow is behind this thing. So you got a 1 shadow and 2 candles, 2 real candles makes a 12. But I just thought that I was cool that I found out that this was all these were triangles. All these pictures have triangles. This is the only picture that doesn't have a triangle. What a strange shadow there. How did that happen? Well, of course, Kubrick has pushed the picture up because he's about to approach it. But you could have figured out that Kubrick was not going to approach any of these. What do you got here? Oh, by the way, of course, how many pictures do you have here? 3 times 7 is 21. And 21 in a mirror is 12. So these pictures also give you a 12. So you got a 12 here, and you got a 12 here. And both of them are actually, this is 21. 2 candles and 1 is 21, and you have 21 pictures. And 21 in a mirror is 12, and 12 is 2 plus 3 plus 7, which is 237,000 miles from the Earth is where the moon is. So anyways, Kubrick is about to approach this picture. We can predict that just from his shadow. Let's see Kubrick approach that picture, and here we are at the picture, and it's a picture of a party. People have pointed out that this party is, they think it's a New Year's party for one reason or another, and so Maybe you can find out what makes you think it's a New Year's party. I think there's party favors or something. But as we approach closer and closer, uh, uh, one thing we should notice here is, which I don't know why, people have mentioned it. I think there's a movie called The Shining Code, which is excellent. One of them, I think it's called The Shining Code, but it's really, really good. Much better than my lectures here. Better production. But that's where I first saw the first person who says Jack is holding a note right here in his hand. That's kind of odd. Why would you hold a note in a picture, And then people are like, yeah, people hold notes at parties all the time up in the hand. That's kind of, okay, that's fine. Why the hell is this guy holding Jack's hand like he's trying to pull that down? Well, why is he, saying, Jack, don't show that note? So that's kind of bizarre. That's going to kind of... People have done analysis of the faces and said, they look like Edgar Hoover and whatever, and Eleanor Roosevelt or whatever. I don't know about that. This bird's kind of interesting with the feather right here, right above the hand. So, but Jack is definitely holding a secret note in here. He's trying to tell you something's up, and this man is definitely not agreeing with Jack to be able to show that note. Alright. There's Jack, and so people think that it's a New Year's, but it says July 4th ball, so they're wondering, why would a New Year's picture have a July 4th emblem on it? It doesn't seem like a July 4th. I don't think there's any pictures of them. If it's a July 4th ball, then where's the American flags? You'd think there'd be a lot of, American flags and stuff like that to celebrate July 4th. So, again, the launchings happened in July 16th or something till July 20th, 1969. So somebody will have to go through here and interpret that there. You might make a 6 and a 9 here. I don't know if you flip them around, but that I'll leave that up to other people. All right, here's the credits. Just wanted to show you real quickly that Jack has the same name as Jack and Danny has the same name as Danny. So I think that's, if only could have gotten an actress that was called Wendy, he would have really, and then everybody would have been like, okay, now Jack, Wendy, and Danny are all Stanley Kubrick. All right. Okie dokie. Now we go back to the original picture, and do you see the mirror now? The moon and the Earth. They're images of each other. What happened on the moon really happened on the Earth. All right, and that concludes the Shining lectures here. Again, I want to give thanks to Stanley Kubrick. I feel I owe it to him to this. He's brought so many wonderful hours of entertainment for me. I want his legacy to live on by interpreting this. I don't want adulation for myself. I don't care if this what happens with this. I just had to do it and do it for him. And then thanks to all the other people on the internet who've done Shining stuff that I've included here. I'm sorry I don't reference every single thing. This wouldn't have been completed for 40 years if I had to reference every single thing. But hopefully I've added a few new ideas that people can now take the baton and do some much better job than I have doing this. And I do want to say that I've probably made 1,000 mistakes. One of them was that I told you that I already realized that I told you that 2001 was shot 40 years ago. Of course, it was shot in 67, which is 50 years ago, which even gives more compliment to Kubrick's special effects, which he won the Academy Award for, of course, in 2001. For that, so I've made several mistakes, left some stuff out. I apologize. I'll try to leave some of them the mistakes in the comments, and whatever I've left out I'll put in the comments. And then one of the most important things just to look at here, it's kind of interesting, is I don't think I mentioned this before, but this right here, this nice little island is very unique in the thing. I mean, Kubrick chose this setting on purpose, but what does that island look like as you approach it? I don't know. Kind of looks like a launch pad, and a rocket's taken off. So, well, I don't know if rather. I mean, obviously, Kubrick is almost about to make the helicopter crash into it. I'd love to talk to all the people that. To talk to all the people who shot the helicopter pilot and just say, what did Kubrick tell you? You know, that's what somebody has to do, is go find all the people this, and not ask them stupid questions like how well is it working with Kubrick, but ask them specific questions like, okay, did Kubrick, how many times did Kubrick make you fly over this, and what did he love about this, and and what did he say, I want you to approach this as quick as possible. To Mr. Ullman, I want to interview Mr. Ullman, I don't know if he's still alive, and say, did Kubrick ask you to look up when you say I can't believe it happened here? So you need somebody who's watched the thing, and just to ask her, and then the actors or the helicopter pilots go, yeah, it was really bizarre, I don't know why Kubrick asked me. It was like, Kubrick's a wacko, and he's a genius, so we did what he said, so, and it was no skin on our part to do it, so we might as well just have done it. So, but they would remember and say, yeah, it was strange that he'd ask us to do that. That's kind of bizarre. So, and then you have kind of confirmation from the people that Kubrick was designing something in the background that was not aware to anybody, I assume, in the whole project. So, anyways, have fun with it. Hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to your comments on each of the lectures. All right. Goodbye.